I want to end this piece of the conversation with a couple of questions to the farmers. What were your biggest hurdles, and what will you change moving into year 2?
Also, I'd like to ask what your input cost per pound was.
Per acre, we was around 10 to 12,000, and maybe not going close, we could knock that down a little bit, because just plants alone is 8,000 an acre. So.
And the pound yield per acre that you got?
Like half a pound.
Per plant. Per plant.
Per plant. Is how we use half a pound per plant.
Mm-hmm. So your cost per plant was pretty high this first year.
Yes.
Your cost per pound. Yeah, we ran $14 2 years ago. We ran 12. This year we're going to run about $10, I think, input per pound.
But with everything, we still are going to make a little bit of money this year. It wasn't easy money, and if anybody tells you it was, there wasn't nothing easy about it.
We ended up with, I think, around between 8,000 to 9,000 cost per acre on ours. We saved a little money on doing clones. That was a big deal. We put it in a greenhouse, we put it in all that stuff. So we ended up with a little under half a pound per plant with our really late planting date, clock and all that. It really hurt us. I think at this point we might break even. We'll be close. It depends on the market when our biomass gets finished extracting, that kind of thing. But overall, we're doing less acres this next year, but we are also having less partner. So we're staying about the same per partner ratio on our acres. And I tell everybody that I talk about is the knowledge we gained this year is worth a lot more than money we made. So.
We are probably the highest here per acre. We were about 13,000, 14,000 per acre, but we also bought a dryer and a building and concrete buildings and 3 greenhouses and a tractor and a Chichi Magnum planter. So really, the cost per acre, you can get it down as low as 8, 9, 10,000. We just bought some extra infrastructure for ourselves. So we were a little high there, but even after all that, going to the THC-free distillate, looking at the market prices and still leaning out. I think our deal right now for ours is right there at about 3,000, 3,100 per liter is what we're going to get for our THC-free. So look at it getting close to about $2 million or so for a $500,000 investment. It's not so bad. It just takes a lot of time and a lot of work. It takes a village.
And it's a declining scale. It's getting more commoditized. So what we saw 3 years ago was gravy train, and every year it's cut down. Now there's 5 times more growth in the United States, and they went up 5x the amount of acres under growth. So all this product's coming on, and you see the pricing that Christian showed on that chart. And those prices you're talking about will continue to come down. It all kind of flows, and it'll all get brought down lower. So to have to be so incredibly efficient that you make it right, and to keep looking, we experimented so much, and I think all of us are trying to find the right combination of hang dry and strains to grow, and to keep kind of not put all your eggs in one basket necessarily, but to keep some options open, try some different drying techniques. And one thing you need to remember if you're just getting into it is it's not so simple as you grow it and sell the biomass. You're talking about these downstream efforts when you go into distillate, you go into ways to try and fractionate into tea-free. That takes a long time. So you're monetizing. If that's really going to be your monetizing moment way out there in the future, that could take 6 months. It can be a long period to head down to till mid-February. And if that's if things go well, right? So So if you work on this downstream thought as a farmer and you want to find these relationships, like we're helping broker and we're scanning and working with extractors, and we can help this process. That's what Christian, one of his many talents, but that's part of what Sunnyland Kansas does. But the monetizing, you have to realize, so you put all the input costs in, but the monetizing, the further downstream you push it into crude distillate or tea-free, the time horizon of monetizing keeps getting pushed further away. So it's a good plan. You got to have the cash flow to make that work, and you have to be. Well, we put the input costs in because, and what I think all of us are saying is, do it right to protect your crop. If you do it in a half-assed way, you can really risk losing everything. But if you do it right and you take care and you get the relationships built like we're trying to do right here and all these discussions and work on how you're going to monetize, you can make some decent money on this. But you really have to know everything we're talking about all at one time. And it's a lot to take in.
So at this time, we're going to open the floor to any questions. It's been a lot of information coming your way. Everybody's tired. Me too. Anybody have anything at all? Any questions for our farmers? Yes, sir. Here.
Yeah, I was interested in the CBNs. We didn't cover a lot of that. Can everybody hear me all right?
Check.
Okay.
You're interested in CBN?
Yeah. Now, if I understand it right, CBN is more or less a process of the THC degrading after it's hit its peak. So with that in mind, if that's part of it, if your crop's testing hot, do you have enough time where you can let it go over the peak so your trikes start ambering out, dying off, let the THC dissolve, turn it into CBNs? Do you have a question, an answer for that? If that made any sense.
Is Brayden still here? I mean, he will tell you that you cannot test hot, and you're going to have to destroy your crop before you'd ever get there. So you can't wait and hope you'll transition. It will transition into CBN. The processes that remove THC, there are several of the processes that the THC actually becomes CBN in that process, and that's the conversion to get rid of THC and the THC-free distillate. There are a couple of other ways to do it a different way, but one of the main processes actually is it converts them into CBN. CBN is really popular. It has helped with sleep, and you're seeing a lot of that. The minor cannabinoids that you have in your full spectrum plant are really important in the market today. The CBG, the CBC, the CBNs, and those add a lot of value. So just straight CBD has gone down in value, but the other minor cannabinoids are coming on. It's great if you have some CBG in with your CBD, but right now the CBG dominant strains are the highest value and the most marketable. The market's just opening up on all the CBG right now. So CBN is great if you have it in some minors, but I don't think you'll be able to take a hot crop and convert it. They'll get you to destroy the crop before that happens.
Now, what about in the states where, and I know we're not there yet, but eventually I'm sure we will land where medicinal is a part of it. Now, in these other states, because I basically kind of wanted to put these together in my head, are they allowed, is this method of doing it working for other growers, producers? Or does anybody have an answer?
It's super complicated. Oregon has a specific rule you can sell into the OLCC system, which is the marijuana system. A hemp grower can sell into it. It's a real gray area if you can have a hot crop. I mean, it used to be the Delta 9 deal. We could come in with a lot of Delta 9 and then roll it with the hemp certificate into the OLCC system. The USDA is trying to clamp down on that. It's not necessarily an open market, and I can't predict it. It's going to be very complicated from a USDA legal standpoint on how they'll allow you to move hemp into a marijuana marketplace. The benefit in Oregon is you can take hemp that is clearly hemp and sell it into the marijuana system, which is a great outlet. I mean, it's a wonderful place to go. So you can sell buds, smokable flower, and high quality CBD right into the dispensaries. And that's one of the few states. A lot of states don't necessarily allow that, but they're starting to open that up more and more. It would definitely be a help, but you can't really sell a hot crop. A hot hemp crop, it really turns to marijuana, and then you're not a marijuana producer, so you have to go through a whole bunch of different regulations. They'll probably snag you on that one.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Those of you that bought seed and did starts, what was your average germination rate?
And then somebody made comment about using biodegradable plastic or film for next year, and so I was curious if you could touch on that.
Billy, you want to start on that?
Our germination rate, I think we're at 92%. I mean, we had almost no failure. We use a vacuum seed planter is what we actually use. We have a machine, shakes right into your trays, levels them out, sends it down a conveyor belt, and dents each plug, throws one seed into each hole without fail every single time, and perfect, half-inch deep or so. So we had a really, really good germination rate. I think that a lot of that had to do with the fact that we took a lot of the humid air out of the planting itself of the seed.
Our better genetic, we ended up with, I think, about a 97. It was a pretty high germination rate. We did it all by hand. We poked holes with our fingers and put the seeds in, and we did 30,000 seeds that way. But some of our other genetics didn't perform as well. We had one that's even down to 40% germination rate, and luckily our seed guys were able to make up for that and send us more seed to replace the ones that didn't germinate. And but the one variety performed very good.
Something that we did notice, we did a little bit of, we actually did build a true vacuum planter, similar to like a corn planter. We noticed we had, you're going to lose some of that when you're actually physically planting directly in the dirt because of the environmental factors. Your germination is going to go down due to seed being cracked, things like that. So that's something I wouldn't probably suggest to be planting like that, unless you're going towards directly just straight fiber. But I do know there's a lot of people that have come and talked to me about it and asked my opinion on it. I said, well, the biggest problem is not so much getting a good stand out of it, but it's the weed control. Without the plastic, you don't have any heat suppression.
Yep, and we did clones. With our clones, we had probably, out of our whole row, there was probably about 20 plants that didn't make it. I mean, they all did really good. I mean, besides we don't have control of the row.
We have 94% germination, and just the right genetics. The genetics that we have will be available are all at the top of the food chain, and you should expect well over 90% germination. I don't know anybody really that's getting below 90 anymore from qualified suppliers and breeders. Plastic mulch, there is Rainflow has a mulch. They run about 3 mil. There's some 4 mil out there. I think there's 6 mil is the regular plastic, if I'm not mistaken. You can get 3 foot wide or 4 foot wide. We like 4 foot wide. We do 5 foot between rows. And we're going to use biodegradable this year, but the Rainflow is a Vietnamese product that doesn't have the integrity. There's a Canadian product, and I can't remember the company's name right now. We're going to Las Vegas. Chris and I are going to Las Vegas Monday to the show there, and we'll touch base with them. And we'll be able to provide some information on that. It's a really nice product. They're really great because you get weed mitigation when you need it. You get the canopy develops and it starts breaking up, and you literally till it into the ground at the end of the season. So I think it's a 3 mil, but it may be a 4 mil from this Canadian outfit. But the Rainflow, it tears up pretty fast. It's pretty fragile, and when you lay it down, and then you get some wind whip on the stuff, and it turns into parachutes, and it can really beat your plants up. So you got to really be careful with your bed laying on the plastic. But we're gonna put it down a lot of biodegradable. It's great at the end of the year.
One addition, all these germination rates were started in a greenhouse, right? So you started in the greenhouse, we started in the greenhouse. We're seeing 95, 98% germination. If you direct seed, but you've bought a seed from a distributor where the COA claims a 98 or 99% germ rate, if you direct seed, you're not going to see that. So it all depends how you are starting your seeds. In a greenhouse, yes, 95, 98% germ rates. In the field, that same seed, maybe more like 75%. Could be 50%. All just depends. Again, another reason to plant or to start your seeds in a greenhouse and transplant from there. Any other questions? Yes.
I know we all had plenty of water this year, but next year we may not. How much water do you put on plants?
Well, that depends on your location. Right now, we have set our farm up in Butler County where we can get over 100 gallons per minute.
For 40 acres.
For 40 acres. We're not watering all the time and everything all at once. We've designated different zones. So we'll water, zone 1 first for 12 minutes maybe, and then go on to zone 2. So it really just depends on your location. But we do have the ability, we'll tell you, if you have a well that can pull 40 to 60 gallons per minute, you'll be okay.
On a pretty good, close to 40 acres at that rate too.
Yeah.
20 acres easy.
Does not require all that much water. In fact, cotton will require 5 times the water that hemp does. Cotton is much more water consuming than your hemp plants.
You guys agree with us? Number? Having what?
The taproot.
You pretty much agree on the amount of water? For 40 acres? Yeah. So you were doing, you said 150 gallons a minute for 37 acres? So you had Sandy. Yeah.
So we did the same thing. We cycled zones. We had 6 different zones in our field, and we would cycle through them about 30 minutes apiece. But because of our soil, the water retention, we had to go several times a day. So we had to go ahead and water it for 30 minutes here. Once everything else was done, you go back and water it again. And you do that 2 or 3 times because in the sand, gravity takes over the water goes straight down. So we wanted that to spread out and really soak the beds.
What was that comment on the taproot? Why is the taproot so important for water?
It's the best root you got. It's the biggest root you got. Most of your water is going to be taken in through your tap roots. It's going to reach down deep. The deeper your water is, the more secure your plant's going to be because your tap roots are just going to dive straight down.
So in your sandy loam soil, your water is just going down and down and down, but your taproot is reaching so far down, it's able to access that water and those nutrients deeper in the soil.
Yeah, I had tap roots that were 2.5 foot deep. You can't hold plants by hand. You can't.
So what was your total amount of water applied? 6 inches in the season, 10 inches, 3 inches per acre?
No, just whole season.
On an inch basis, it's hard to say. It's really hard to say. On a per acre basis, if you look at acre feet, some guys are at 0.43 acre feet. I cannot give you a by inch answer.
I think at one time I had it figured that we were putting on, every time that we applied water, we were putting on roughly what we had figured is what we considered an inch of rain. And I think our rotation on that was, when it got really hot and dry, we were putting that on, every 4 to 5 days. But a lot of it was too, we didn't have a tap root, our roots were, some of our plants only had roots 4 to 6 inches down, so we had to keep them watered. And that's every case is going to be different due to soil type, whether you're planting seed or clones. It's hard to give a hemp plant needs this exact amount of water for all situations. You kind of have to just watch your plant and watch your soil moisture.
Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
We're straight south of Wichita and then the east, 10 miles.
Rio County, Central Kansas, just south of Harrison.
I'm out of Leavenworth County, about 20 miles east of Lawrence, so I'm not real far from. Yeah, I mean, that's where I'm at. So we've got sand bottoms where we're at, so I mean, we've got like 40 foot of sand. I mean, it just goes straight down and then there's an aquifer. So every location, it is going to be different. I had guys across the same exact river that I was at that couldn't hardly listen or feel the rivers. And here I am, I'm walking through a beach. It's different everywhere. But the main thing is when you get your soil test, really talk to those guys. They're going to tell you what you need to do, to be honest.
I mean, in terms of irrigation, just be prepared. The more prepared you are, the better. If you've got a well that can go 100 gallons per minute, amazing. You're going to be fine. Me personally, I wouldn't grow any more than you can water, just for that insurance of having water. Nope. Which is why they were here. Not many people do. Cost is astronomical. Other questions? Yes, sir.
Didn't touch on any insect pest control methodologies or management strategies. What are you looking at with that?
Scott Gatewood and Brandon.
Yeah, so we actually had caterpillars and worms get into the floor material and go eating it. The problem is still there's a very fine line of what you can and can't do there, because there are pesticides out there that are, I'm going to use this in parentheses, labeled for him. At the same time, they're technically not labeled. It is a gray area, and sometimes if you take this on to be processed, it gets tested positive for pesticides, they will reject every bit of what you just brought in. Dipole, there was, I'm used to knowing as an army was. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you can buy predator mites, predatory insects like that to take care of an issue. Now, look, think about what you're doing, jumping outside. You're not going to have it for a super long time. A lot of guys that grow indoor will use that method. We had green clover worms, we had hemp worms right down in the stalks of our plants, and those things are nasty. And they get down there and they'll kill everything above the lower. Everything above the lower dies. So what we actually figured out, talking very closely with Brandon, is that we could use a product called Dipel DF, which is a dry flow, and we sprayed that from a drone. And man, it killed like 80% of everything on first treatment. It's got a 0 hour interval to harvest, so literally I could apply it and cut down my plants the next day and never know it's there. It's a biological, so it's very safe. It's something that you can use. It just takes communication with the state, man. Just make sure you're being compliant and doing what they tell you can and can't do. But, I mean, through enough research, they will make sure that you can use something to get rid of those pests. It took us about 2 weeks worth of looking around to figure out that Dipel was the product, but, I mean, it works really, really well, especially for the caterpillars that get tested.
In Oregon, we had a spider mites and aphids infestation that got very intense. And we released, I think it was 1 million ladybugs, and we put them on the tops of the plants, and I think it was maybe it's 500,000 or 600,000. There's a lot of them, and they completely fixed everything. I mean, those little ladybugs, they were hungry and they went down, but we released them on top. We put a little oil spray on the plants, and then we put the ladybugs we just peppered them all over the tops of the plants. Sometimes people put them down below, but it was great to put them on top and just kind of dump them on top of the plants, and They just kind of fell down, and about a week later, we were free. I mean, they're voracious, and they're so cute, too. The ladybugs are pretty amazing for an organic type process.
And one other thing too is your border control. Make sure you spray border controls. The state gives you a list, you can see it. Spray border control, please, and make sure that you keep the ground around your field low. Don't go out there and have a bunch of standing brome for your cattle 15 foot away from your hemp grow, because that's where you're going to end up with all these issues.
Other questions? Yeah.
I also had questions regarding special pruning practices. You see a lot of that with indoor cultivation, heavy defoliation to encourage more.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that. Are you talking defoliation?
Correct. Other cultivation, bending, pruning, training that is very common in the medical market, but how does that translate to crop yields for outdoor commercial cultivation sites?
I'll open this up. Did any of you guys trim, defoliate, or did you leave it in the ground and let it do its thing?
I can't think of any solid way to trim 80,000 plants.
So again, we go back to your whole strategy here. Are you growing for smokable, or are you growing to extract? If you're growing for smokable, yes, defoliation becomes a part of the equation. Your trimming process, your curing process, all of that comes to play when you're talking smoke. When you're talking extracted material, biomass, no, there is no need. If you want to go into a 50-acre plot and trim 100,000 plants, I don't know exactly what that would do, if it will focus on flower production any more than it already does. I don't know the answer to that. The reason is it's too many plants to worry about, and it's not realistic or efficient in a biomass grow.
Basic topping, like mow the whole crop, a week before flower or right when flower initiates. Just no information on any of that really available.
Are you again not talking general biomass smoke?
I mean, basic, yeah. Is there any information about, hey, if we mow this top half of this off, is that going to have the same effect it has normally? Pushing the plants, increasing yields. Again, maybe not defoliating the whole thing, but if you can just run the same combine harvester scythe that you were going to chop the bottoms with run it 3 feet up, would that have an effect, or is that something that, again, you've seen anyone experimenting with?
Not that I have seen or know of. Anybody have anything to say on that?
In Oregon, there was a practice, a lot of people topped their plants, but it didn't help the yield on the lower plants. But they topped them just for economic business purposes and worked the tops in hang dry, and then they biomassed the bottom. But I don't know anybody that reported improved yields after topping. I don't know if that helps at all. Again, it's overpowering. You get a thick plant where if you're 4 feet between plants and 5 feet between rows, you can't even walk between them if they're grown right, and you're working for finding the Hermes. And I mean, you are so busy out there just taking care of basic stuff. I can't imagine doing a whole lot of manipulation to the plants during the grow, and that kind of scale and volume is overpowering. But again, is Braden still here? Braden, I have a question in general. Do you have a mic still, or you're mic free? Is what if the plants are topped pre-test? And I mean, are there rules to what you can and can't do to the top of the plant before the state test? What if you trim the tops and destroy that, or got rid of them or something, or test them, or what could you do if you want to top the plants?
Sure. So currently, plant material can't be removed from the lot or the research area before it's sampled by an inspector. And additionally, a harvest is defined by the removal of plant material from that lot. So essentially, you couldn't top the plants and remove the plant material from that lot before you have a passing report.
Well, let's say you topped them, and and then you got your stake and left the tops out there in the field or protected them or something somehow, and then got your stake test, and they're laying on the plastic, for instance, would you test the tops that are laying down there, or would you test the active plant material?
Currently, you wouldn't be able to top the plants and leave them in the field before they're tested by the state.
So you really can't trim them, or
So,
yeah, what about pre-flower? I mean, you could do a pre-flower.
No, yeah, so in
But-
regards to, training plants when they're
Right.
vegetative,
But-
that's not an issue. It's
But
not
once they're
harvested.
flowered, you're really not, what do you think, commercial bill will be the same way? You really can't trim top, do anything to the plants. I mean, it could mitigate some of the THC content if you could take off some of the top of it.
Yeah, by regulation, the verbiage is you cannot cut plant materials before they're tested by the state. By the state.
Once they're in flower state?
Well, as you're approaching harvest,
Yeah.
really, you would only be topping the plants when, at that point, when they're reproductive, so therefore you have some intention of harvesting that plant material. So, yeah, the provision is they can't be cut before they're sampled and tested by the state, but after they're sampled, they can be cut, but simply they can't be before. But, in regards to if the plant's vegetative or not, that's not necessarily a provision that would encompass that, because that's just a general technique used in various aspects of plant care for many different species.
Thank you, Brandon. Any other questions?
Okay, so what will be your actual the physical clipping of the plant under the USDA rules as they stand today compared to the way you did it this year? And when you're out in the field, I know there's an array and a mix of what plant you go to, but the actual way, how much of the plant do you actually take in the new rules?
Well,
and will it be different
so
than
the
what you
USDA's provided sampling and testing guidelines, and states have issues with the sampling guidelines that were published simply because the amount of plant material required for collection, if those SOPs are followed, is quite a bit of material, and logistically, it's not feasible to collect that material, transport it, homogenize it, quantitate it. So, our submitted SOPs are going to vary a little bit in regards to those guidelines provided by the USDA. So they'll review them and they'll essentially allow us to use those SOPs or not. States conduct sampling procedures differently. Some states, only take the top 2 inches. Some states allow any part of the plant to be tested, and we've simply taken the top terminal inches of the top 8 terminal inches of the growing point. So, in regards to the question about topping plants before harvest, generally, this cannabis varieties that are not external growers, so they have multiple growing points. So they have many branches, and on each one of those growing points is going to be inflorescence.
Any final questions? Thank you, farmers, so much. We love having you here. Thank you guys, everybody who stuck around and bear with us. We appreciate your participation. Keep an eye out for further events coming soon where we are focused on special topics, and it's not so A to Z, but more finite and directed. So keep an eye out. Hope to see you guys soon. Thanks so much.